Yeah, I think we are connected on Facebook now.
Okay, this is better. Okay, so are we good to begin?
Yeah.
Okay, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, glories to Srila Prabhupada. So today we are back with our discussion of Krishna Lila, Krishna Katha, and we again have our friend, His Grace Prema Rāsa Dāsa Prabhu from Mumbai, who is going to talk on one very unique pastime. Well, the Lord's pastimes are all unique. You can derive so many lessons, and so many very interesting insights about the Lord, about the relationship that the Lord has with the devotees, and how we can what we can imbibe from those from those pastimes. So this is a pastime of the Lord Krishna, how he obtained a jewel called the Syamantaka jewel. Am I pronouncing it right? Syamantaka jewel, right? The Syamantaka jewel.
Syamantaka jewel, yeah.
Syamantaka jewel,
Okay.
yes. So now it's very interesting. I'm not going to give any details. We will leave it to Prabhuji to slowly unravel the essence and the depth of this pastimes, and most importantly, what we can derive out of this particular pastime, this beautiful pastime. So Prabhuji, I will give it over to you so that you can enlighten us about this pastime.
Om Magyanti Mirandasya Jnana Shalagaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Haritra Prabhu, for again giving me opportunity to serve everyone, and thank you all the devotees for joining for this very interesting class on the story of the Syamantaka jewel. So this is basically from the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 56 and chapter 57. And it is extremely interesting to know the facts about this particular pastime. Our acharyas, they have given elaborate commentary on this. And even from the material point of view, it is very important for us devotees to understand the concept about the stealing of the Syamantaka jewel. So we'll learn a lot of lessons from this entire pastime. Okay, so so first we'll go through the chapter 56, and then later on we'll go through chapter 57. Yeah, so the entire purpose of this particular Lila is to show the futility of material wealth, and that will be concluded at the end of the chapter, at the end of the particular pastime. So Sukdev Goswami, as we know that there is a conversation between Sukdev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit, and Sukdev Goswami informs Parikshit Maharaj that Satyajit had offended Krishna. So Parikshit Maharaj was very eager to know what happened exactly. Why did he offend Krishna? Because Satyajit was actually the father-in-law of Krishna, because his daughter Satyabhama got married to Krishna. So he was very inquisitive to know about it. Obviously, in our normal relationship also in this material world, whenever there is a conflict, we want to know about things, right? We try to gossip about things, and especially when it comes to in-laws, that becomes more dynamic and more flavor. There is a lot of flavor in that. So yeah, so what happened is there was a king called Satyajit, and he was also, I think, residing in Dwarka. Krishna, obviously, Ugrasen was the ultimate ruler of Dwarka, but Satyajit was also, I think, he was one of the kings in Dwarka, and he was residing there. So one time Satyajit, he had received a jewel from the sun god, and he was actually a devotee of sun god. So he was very just like we are trying to become devotees of Krishna, and so he was very attached to sun god, and the sun god was also very affectionate to Satyajit, and that's why somehow he offered the best jewel to Satyajit. So actually there is one particular background to this, how this jewel came to the presence of the sun god Surya Dev. Somehow if you, I mean, if you remember in the pastime of the glories of Srimati Radharani in our Radhashtami class, I described in detail. It was I think it was a 4-hour class, almost 4-hour class, and I described in detail how the gopis and Srimati Radharani, they had committed suicide. Like especially Radharani and Vishaka, they had jumped into the Yamuna, and then somehow they were taken to the abode of sun god. So and actually this Syamantaka jewel was offered to Srimati Radharani. Okay, it was belonging to Srimati Radharani, and somehow because she jumped into Yamuna, and Yamuna is actually the sister of Yamraj, and Yamraj and Yamuna, they are actually the children of sun god Surya Dev. So that's how once they had gone to the abode of sun god, so Radharani and Vishaka, they were like, I don't remember if Vishaka was also there, but Radharani was there in the abode of sun god, and that's how sun god got the jewel. So Radharani appears as Satyabhama in Dwarka, okay, and Vishaka appears, I think Vishaka appears, yeah, in the form of Kalindi, because Kalindi is expansion of Vishaka. So she appeared in that form when Krishna married the 8 queens in Dwarka. He was married to 16,108 queens, and 8 queens he had married from different parts of India. And then 16,100 princes, they were married to Krishna after the killing of Narakasur. So all these gopis, they had apparently committed suicide, and that's how Radharani had jumped into Yamuna, and the jewel was with. Now, if you also remember, there's another pastime of Holi where Krishna and Balram, they were having pastimes with the gopis, and somehow Shankachud had come. He had intervened in between, and he was trying to kidnap all the gopis from them. So then Krishna killed Shankachud. Balram was also there. Balram was taking care of the gopis. Krishna he chased after Shankachud, and then he killed him. Okay, so that Syamantaka jewel was actually on the head of Shankachud. Krishna removed that jewel, and then he offered it to Balram. He did not offer directly to Radharani or other gopis, because then the gopis who were contrary to Srimati Radharani would have felt bad about it. So that's why Krishna played a very diplomatic game, and he actually offered this Syamantaka jewel to Balram. And he knew that after offering this Syamantaka jewel to Balram, ultimately it will go to Srimati Radharani. And how it happened is basically Balram gave it to Madhumangal, and then Madhumangal finally in a pastime, he offered this to Srimati Radharani. Okay, so that's how it came to Srimati Radharani ultimately. Okay, so now this is just a general background of the Syamantaka jewel. So originally you'll see that this particular jewel was derived from Shankachud, and Krishna possessed it. Okay, but later on it became the possession of Satyajit. So now Satyajit received this jewel from sun god, and then he started wearing this around his neck, and he traveled to Dwarka. So once he entered Dwarka, everyone started thinking, especially the citizens, they started thinking that here is the personified sun god, because he was shining like anything. He was so effulgent. And so immediately when he entered, everyone thought that he's sun god himself. So Krishna was playing the dice that time. And all of these citizens, they actually entered, and they shared with Krishna that, this is how sun god has appeared. So let us go and welcome him. And Krishna said that it's not the sun god. It is actually King Satyajit, who had received this Syamantaka jewel, but it is very powerful, very effulgent. That's why we are thinking that he's the sun god. So Krishna clarified the position of Satyajit. And then Satyajit, when later on, he installed this particular jewel in his home in Dwarka on a very special altar. So he used to worship that, and it was kept on the altar. And every day this particular Syamantaka jewel produced 170 pounds of gold. You can imagine, what will be the outcome of that. 170 pounds of gold every single day. Additionally, it had the power that wherever it was properly worshipped, that place would never have any calamity. So no calamity would occur in that particular place. That was the additional potency of that Syamantaka jewel. And obviously you can understand, because it is the Lord's own jewel. Later on, the Lord also actually wears it. So we'll see that. So now one time what happened is, Krishna in an assembly requested, when he met Maharaj Satyajit, he requested him to offer this jewel to King Ugrasen. But because of the obsession of Ugrasen, Satyajit Maharaj, he refused, and indirectly kind of like, he was not thinking of anything else, but he was so greedy and attached to it that he could not even think of the consequence of denying to the Lord. Okay, so indirectly he committed offense to the lotus feet of the Lord by saying no. And our Acharya Srila Vishwanath Thakur, he comments that Satyajit did not even think about the consequences that would befall upon him. And due to the enjoying spirit, now see, it's a very interesting thing. This particular Syamantaka jewel, as I shared earlier, it had so much potency that there would not be any calamity. Wherever the Syamantaka jewel was worshipped properly, there won't be any calamity. But what Vishwanath Thakur is saying, he says that due to the enjoying spirit, the object that had the power to destroy all misfortune became the cause of misfortune, right? So this is what exactly happened later on. Because of the Syamantaka jewel, things deteriorated, and Satyajit was actually punished for his offenses. There is also one particular scripture invention. I think it is from the Padma Puran. I don't remember the exact Puran, but it is, or maybe it is from one of the Smritis, and it is clearly mentioned that poison can poison can turn out to be nectar, and nectar can become poison if it all depends on whether we please Krishna or not. So if we please Krishna, then poison can become nectar, and if we displease Krishna, then nectar can become poison. And similarly, it is said that enemies can become friends and friends can become enemies. Okay, so so this is the principle. This is the highest principle that we have to always see. So because he denied, so he committed offenses, and immediately it had an effect. Okay. Now, shortly thereafter, what happened? Satyajit's brother Prasena, he left the city to hunt on the horseback with the jewel on his neck. And on the way, what happened? The lion attacked. There was one lion, and he attacked Prasena and killed him. And he was actually wearing the jewel on the neck. So somehow the lion took away the jewel. And then the lion went near a mountain cave. And it happened to be the abode of Jambavan. So Jambavan from the time of Lord Ramchandra, if you remember, the bear. Okay, so Jambavan was residing in the mountain cave, and immediately he saw this lion and he saw the Syamantaka jewel. So he had a fight with the lion and he killed the lion because Jambavan was very powerful, extremely powerful. Okay, and then he gave this jewel to his son because the son also desired. Like obviously, small children, they get attracted to such things. So in order to satisfy them, Jambavan actually fought with him, and then he defeated. And he killed the lion. So now when Prasenna, the brother of Satyajit, he did not return, Satyajit started thinking that it was actually Krishna who killed him for the jewel. Because obviously, if someone is asking you for the jewel and if you do not want to give it, then the first thing you will think is that, okay, that person might be responsible for the killing because he was desperate to get the jewel. So he blamed upon Krishna. Okay, and then Krishna heard this rumor which was circulating in his kingdom. And Srila Vishwanath Thakur explains that who was circulating this rumor. Because see, in Dwarka it is not possible because they are all associates of the Lord and they are eternally pure devotees of the Lord. So Vishwanath Thakur says that those of similar evil nature, who had the same evil nature as King Satyajit, they heard and whispered with each other. Okay, and then Krishna, because he felt that this is a direct blame on me, so he felt the need to clear it up, clear all these things, and so he decided to personally go and search for Prasena with some of his citizens, and en route they found body of Prasena and the horse also. So because the horse was also killed by the lion. So further away, then they also saw the body of the lion, which was killed by Jambavan. And then Krishna, when he came near the cave, he asked all these citizens to stay outside for some time, and he will go inside and find out. He will investigate what is happening. So then Krishna went inside, and the residents of Dwarka, they stayed outside for Krishna to return back. So when Krishna entered, he saw the jewel with the child. And as soon as the child's nurse saw Krishna, she cried out. So she cried out in an alarming mood, to Jambavan. Now it is very interesting. Srila Vishwanath Thakur says that the nurse was not afraid of the Lord, right? Because obviously the enemies of the Lord are afraid. and those who are demons, they are afraid of the Lord. But the nurse was not afraid, and she cried out because intense ecstasy awoke after seeing the Lord. So she cried out of that ecstasy that was generated within her by seeing the Lord. This was actually the effect of Krishna's form, the attractiveness of his form. And then hearing the cry of the nurse, Jamvan immediately came out. And then when Jamvan saw Krishna, he thought that Krishna is an ordinary man. Okay, so now and then they started fighting also. So Vishwanath Thakur explains what is the reason of fighting. This is a very it's a very jovial answer. Why you can laugh at it, because Krishna was thinking, since a long time I am not having some good challenge. I have to fight with weaklings like Kamsa, Shishupal, Chanur, Mustek, and all the demons in Vrindavan. So there is no match to me. I'm like really eager to fight with someone of my equal status. So Krishna thought like that. And same time, Jamvan also, he also felt the need to fight with someone, because he felt that these are all like kids for me. Whoever he was fighting with Lord Ram, the Ravana's army during Treta Yuga, Treta Yuga. So he thought that these are all like kids for me. I want some bigger challenge. So then the Lord, understanding the heart of Jamvan, and in order to fulfill his desire, he arranged for a fight. So the Yogmaya potency of the Lord covered the Madhurya aspect of the Lord. And that's how Jamvan thought that he's an ordinary man. So he was, obviously Jamvan is a pure devotee of Lord Ramchandra. He's an eternal associate of Lord Ramchandra. And so it is not possible that Krishna can fight with his devotees unless there is a superior reason, unless there is the arrangement of Yogmaya. So that's how actually they, Jamvan didn't attain full taste of Veera Ras even after fighting with armies of Ravana. Okay. And so they fought for 28 days without rest. But after that, he started getting weaker and he also became very tired. So he immediately understood that it is not possible that someone can defeat me like this. It should be my Supreme Lord, Lord Ramchandra. So he immediately realized that Krishna is not different from Lord Ramchandra. And then he apologized to the Lord and he started offering prayers and praised the Lord. And the Lord touched Jamvan with his hand. And as soon as the Lord touched with his hand, all whatever strength that he had lost, whatever effulgence he had lost, everything came back. Everything was retrieved. And then the Lord explained to him about the Syamantaka jewel, how actually it was, the entire pastime the Lord explained. So then Jamvan was very happy, and he was very happy to see the Lord. And especially he wanted to see the Lord in the form of Lord Ramchandra. So it is, although it is not mentioned in the Bhagavatam, but I remember in the Krishna serial, it is shown that he had a desire to see his Lord, and Krishna then actually transformed himself into Lord Ramchandra along with Lakshman and Sita Maya. So that's how this entire pastime happened. And then Jambavan obviously wanted to present the best thing that he had in his possession. So he offered not only the Syamantaka jewel, but he also offered his daughter Jambavati. Okay, now this Jambavati is also one of the expansions of the Ashtasakis. So I don't remember, probably Lalita came as maybe Lalita. Jambavati is probably Lalita. Satyabhama is Radharani, and then Vishaka is Kalindi, and then we have other queens of Dwarka like Bhadra and others who were expansions of these Ashtasakis of Krishna and Vrindavan. Okay, so in the midst, the Lord's companions, they waited for 12 days. So when this fighting was going on for 28 days, at the end of 12 days, they became hopeless. So what they did, they returned back to Dwarka, and they were very concerned and very disturbed, very aggrieved. They felt very remorse. And in their anger, they actually cursed Satyajit. Okay, so see, this is a very important point. Do note this point. Okay, and we'll come back to this point later. So they cursed Satyajit Maharaj for blaming Krishna, and then Krishna had to go and retrieve the Syamantaka jewel and all that. But in that period, so they started performing the worship of Durga every day and prayed for the law of safety. So now immediately Durga appeared to them, and Durga spoke to them that the Lord will arrive soon, and immediately Krishna appeared. So now when Krishna came back, immediately summoned Maharaj Satyajit to the assembly, and then he narrated everything to Maharaj Satyajit and gave him back the jewel. And Maharaj Satyajit, with great shame and remorse, he accepted it. Okay. Now, later on, what happened? He started pondering over his grievous offenses to the Lord, and he became worried about the possibility of conflict with the Lord's devotees. Okay, so Satyajit thought that how can I cleanse myself of this contamination, and how may Lord Achyut become satisfied with me? What can I do to regain my good fortune and avoid being cursed by the populace for being so short-sighted, miserly, foolish, and avaricious? I shall give my daughter, the jewel of all women, to the Lord, together with Syamantaka jewel. That indeed is the only proper way to pacify him. So the Supreme Lord told Satyajit that we do not care to take this Syamantaka jewel back. O king, you are the sun god's devotees, so let it stay in your possession. Thus we will also enjoy its benefits. So now see, the Lord is also very diplomatic in what he speaks. Especially he is diplomatic to the ones who behave diplomatically with him. Okay, so the response of the Lord is also filled with an irony. And so basically it is mentioned that Satyajit should have worshipped Lord Krishna, the Supreme God. He was attached to the demigod, sun god. Instead of the sun god, he should have worshipped Krishna. Thus, there is certainly a touch of irony in the Lord Krishna saying that after all, you are a devotee of the sun god. So, and then Krishna had already acquired Satyajit's greatest treasure, the pure and beautiful Satyabhama. So, Krishna was thinking that what I'm going to do with this Syamantaka jewel. I have got the greatest jewel, which is Satyabhama. Okay. So, with this, we end chapter 56. And I wanted to know if there are any comments on this, or comments or questions, or I would prefer that maybe we can go through the entire pastime and then later on at the end we can have discussions. Okay. Yeah. So let's keep the questions for at the end of the conclusion of the class. So chapters 20, now 57. Okay. So now what happened is Krishna, in the midst of everything which was going on, Krishna heard that the Pandavas, they were burned to death in the house of Lek, supposedly burned to death. They were alive, actually, we know that. So Krishna and Balram, actually, they knew about this because they are omniscient. But as a matter of protocol, they went to Hastinapur. And the two lords, they met with Bhishma, Kripacharya, Vidur, Gandhari, and Dronacharya. This is what the Bhagavatam says. And then Sridhar Swami, he points out that those who were involved in the assassination attempt were, of course, not at all sorry to hear of the Pandavas' death. The person specifically mentioned here, however, Bhishma, Kripa, Vidur, Gandhari, and Drona were actually unhappy to hear of the tragedy. So that's why the Bhagavatam specifically mentions about these devotees, because they were devotees of Krishna, or they were actually pious people. So that's why Krishna met only them. Okay. So now, because Krishna and Balram, they are already left for Hastinapur, so taking the advantage of the situation, Akrura and Kritvarma incited Satadhanva to steal the jewel from Satyajit. So Akrura and Kritvarma, okay, now both of these personalities, they are coming into picture, and we'll see why they are into this particular role, and why they are eager for justice. Okay, so now Sridhar Swami, he says that these two must have flattered Satadhanva, telling him, you are much braver than we are, so you kill him. So they incited Satadhanva, and then Satyajit promised his jewel-like daughter to us, but then gave her to Krishna instead, contemptuously neglecting us. So why should Satyajit not follow his brother's path? So this is what actually they told and incited Satadhanva, that Satyajit, he had promised his daughter to us, or amongst the different members of the Dwarka Vasis, but then he actually gave it to Krishna ultimately. And then it is also revealed that Satadhanva was a hater of Satyajit. That's why they went to him and incited him for this. So Jeev Goswami, he says that Akrura. Now this is a very controversial, topic about the character of Akrura and Kritvarma. especially about Akrura, because we know that he is an eternal associate of the Lord. He is a pure devotee. That's what we have known till now. So then why, how his mind got corrupted? So Jiva Goswami states that Akrura, although first class pure devotee of the Lord, was actually a victim of the anger directed against him by the residents of Gokul, because he took Lord Krishna away from Vrindavan. So he actually did not console the residents of Vrindavan when he took Krishna away from them. That's why he indirectly committed offenses at the feet of the dust of the Vrajvasis. And now it is, reaping the effect of it. So, and then Jiva Goswami further states that Kritvarma had associated with Kamsa, both of them being members of the Bhoj dynasty, and thus Kritvarma was now suffering from this undesirable association. Okay, so this is how Jiva Goswami explained. Srila Vishwanath Thakur offers an alternative explain, and he says that both Akrura and Kritvarma were furious with Satyajit because he had insulted Lord Krishna and spread false rumors about him in Dwarka. So under normal circumstances, Akrura and Kritvarma would have been most pleased that Lord Krishna married the beautiful Satyabhama. Being pure devotees, they could not actually be unhappy about this match, nor could they become jealous rivals of the Lord. Therefore, they had some ulterior motive in behaving like his rivals. So bewildered by their words, he killed Satyajit in his sleep and took the jewel. So we now know what is the reason. So our acharyas, they are giving some revelation here, and they are saying they're also stating the possibility of why Akrura and Kritvarma acted like this. Actually, Vishwanath Thakur also mentions that the same point which Jiva Goswami mentions here, that Akrura had offended the Vrajvasis, and that's how we got the reaction for this. Okay, so we'll discuss how one pure devotee can offend another pure devotee and still be protected by the Lord. So we'll discuss that in after the end of the class. Anyway, so now Satyajanma, he had gone to the inner chambers of King Satyajit, and he was sound asleep. So he took the opportunity and then he killed Satyajit, and he also took the jewel. Now, according to Vishwanath Thakur, he says that Satyajanma was basically evil-minded and a firm hater of Satyajit, so which I have already shared. And then what happened? As soon as Satyabhama heard this news of his father's passing away, she became extremely overwhelmed with grief, and she rushed to Hastinapur. And then she put her father's corpse in a large vat of oil and went to Hastinapur. Now, Srila Vishwanath Thakur says that why she went there. So normally we will think that because her father passed away, obviously, and a girl is very much attached to her father. But Vishwanath Thakur explains that people said she could have Krishna bring his father back to life, and not out of affection for him because he disliked Krishna. So basically, she went to Krishna, she rushed to Krishna in Hastinapur, hoping that Krishna could revive her father, and through that, Krishna can actually, because now again, Krishna's reputation is going to be spoiled because of this entire thing. Okay, the blame will also pass on to Krishna. So Satyabhama wanted to make sure that Satyajit was revived to life so that he could be a witness to all these events. That's why she went, not out of affection for her father. So see, this is also another important principle. The pure devotees, they are more attached to Krishna rather than their own relatives. And especially if they are opposed to Krishna or they dislike Krishna or they have a tinge of negativity towards Krishna, then they will always take side of Krishna and his devotees. So we also see this consistently in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, where Srivas Thakur, Shivananda Sen, they all favored Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu when there was a conflict between them and their relatives. Okay, so they always sided with the Lord and the devotees. Okay, now, so what happened when Krishna and Balaram heard the news? So they immediately they proceeded to Dwarka to kill Satyajanma. Now, according to Srila Jiva Goswami, Satyabhama's anguished feelings and words at the death of her father were prompted by Krishna's Lila Shakti in order to prepare for the Lord's violent reaction against Satyajanma. So this is another Yogmaya arrangement that it was basically Krishna's, the entire thing, why Satyabhama had to rush to Hastinapur. it was all arranged by the Lila Shakti of the Lord. So Satadharma had sought Akrura and Kritavarma's help. So as soon as he heard that Krishna and Balram are chasing after me in order to kill me, so he sought the help of Akrura and Kritavarma, but they refused because both of them, they became fearful. And because both of them denied help, so he just left in fear. And he left the gem with Akrura, and then he fled on a horse that could travel 100 yojanas, almost like 800 miles. So in a garden on the outskirts of Mithila, the horse Satadharma was riding collapsed. Terrified, he abandoned the horse and then he began to flee on foot with Krishna in angry pursuit. So Krishna and Balram pursued him and Krishna killed him with his disc. And when Krishna couldn't find the gem, he thought that he killed him uselessly. So he just told Balram that, oh, what we have done, we have put so much efforts, we have killed him, but there is no jewel. So probably like uselessly we have killed him. And then Balram suggested that he must have kept this jewel in someone's care. Okay. And told him to return to Dwarka, and meanwhile, he will visit the king of Videha. So he traveled to Mithila and then remained there for few years, not just few months, but few years, during which he taught Duryodhana the art of fighting with club. Okay. So now another interesting thing, Vishwanath Thakur says that it was Krishna's, arrangement. So Krishna actually confused Balram so he could separate from him and bestow, and that way he could actually bestow mercy on King Bahulaswa, who was Krishna's pure devotee. So this entire pastime of Krishna confusing Balram and then Balram suggesting Krishna to return to Dwarka and then I will stay in Mathila is basically to give mercy to his pure devotee Bahulaswa. So later on we also see that how Krishna personally also goes to meet King Bahulaswa. So this was again an arrangement of Yogamaya potency of the Lord. So again, now Krishna returned to Dwarka and then he personally performed the funeral rites of King Satyajit because he was his father-in-law. And then when Akrura and Kritavarma heard Satadharma was killed, so they also left Dwarka in fear. And as soon as they left Dwarka, many diseases, mental, physical, began to manifest. As the elder citizens in the kingdom of Dwarka, they explained that why they were explaining and they were discussing amongst themselves what is the reason for this distress. And so they were saying that once there was a drought in Banaras, and the king of the region gave his daughter in marriage to Akrura's father, who was visiting Banaras at that time. So now Srila Vishwanath Thakur points out, so Akrura, he fled and then he went to Banaras. And then Vishwanath Thakur points out that because of Akrura's relationship with his maternal grandfather, the king of Kashi, in a time of difficulty, Akrura went to that city. Also due to offense to Braj Gopis, he was separated from the Lord. As long as Balram lived in Mithila, he also stayed in Banaras for that much time. So because of his offense to the Braj Gopis, specifically he says Braj Gopis, and he had to remain for same number of years as Balram stayed in Mithila. Okay, so because Akrura separated Krishna from the Braj Gopis, that's why now the time came when he has to be also separated from Krishna. So as a result of this gift, the drought ended. So because of Akrura staying there, the drought ended. And the elders in the kingdom of Dwarka, they thought that because Akrura, he also possessed the same power as his father. So they started thinking that Akrura should be called back to Dwarka. Now, according to Srila Sridhar Swami, Akrura took the Syamantaka jewel and went to reside in the city of Banaras, where he became known as Dhanapati, the master of charity. There he executed fire sacrifices on gold altars with elaborate assemblies of qualified priests. Some residents of Dwarka felt that the unusual calamities were due to Akrura's absence, forgetting that the Supreme Lord's presence in Dwarka precluded that possibility. So they were thinking like that. Again, it was all the arrangement of Yogamaya. Krishna bewildered his own residents and made them think that it was basically because of Akrura leaving Dwarka. But when the Bhagavatam very clearly says, Sukadeva Goswami in the next verse itself, he says that actually it was not the reason. It was not because Akrura left. Because it was actually Krishna had some plan. So that also will be shared by our acharyas. Yeah, so because when the Lord comes to earth, his pastimes resemble those of human beings. So the principle of familiarity breeds contempt comes into play, right? It appears that during the lives of many saintly persons and incarnations of God, there always exists a class of people who fail to appreciate or who only occasionally appreciate the position of the great souls among them. On the other hand, the fortunate and enlightened souls who recognize the true position of the Lord and his associates are supremely blessed. So now Krishna knew about Akrura's exile was not the main cause of disturbance, and still he called Akrura. So Vishwanath Chakravarti provides the following insight, and he says that in Banaras, Akrura became famous for performing sacrifices on golden altars and for his abundant charity to the Brahmanas. When the citizens of Dwarka heard about this, so some of them gossiped that Krishna, considering Akrura a rival, had sent him to exile. To dispel this new and incredible stain on his reputation, Lord Krishna created various calamities in Dwarka, thus inducing the citizens to call for Akrura's return, which the Lord then ordered. So this is the main reason, why these things happened. Um, um, Krishna was blamed for Krishna was blamed for multiple times, right? For killing Satyajit, for stealing the Syamantaka jewel, for again putting Akrura in exile. Krishna was blamed for multiple reasons, and it is so interesting that it all happened in his kingdom amongst the Dwarkavasis. So, anyways, it's all arrangement of Krishna's Lila. So, so Lord Krishna then, what he did is actually he summoned Akrura, he called him back, and then properly worshipped him with sweet words and greeted him. And then, obviously, we can understand Krishna's praising Akrura and worshipping him means that he was a pure devotee. There's no doubt about it. So Krishna said that he knew Satyatanva had left the gem with him, and he told Akrura that this was actually the property of his wife's son. Okay, now Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti says that since Satyajit had no sons, since his wives were killed together with him, now not only Satyajit, but Satyatanva had killed his wives also. And since his daughter Satyabhama was not interested in the Syamantaka jewel, which constituted the inheritance, it rightfully belonged to her sons. And in Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada explains that Krishna indicated by this statement that Satyabhama was actually already pregnant and that her son would be the real claimant of the jewel and would certainly take the jewel from Akrura, since Satyajit had no son. So Krishna says, nevertheless, the jewel should remain in your care, Akrura, because no one else can keep it safely. But please show the jewel once, just once, since my elder brother does not fully believe what I have told him about it. In this way, O most unfortunate one, you will pacify my relatives. Now, everyone knows that you have the jewel, for you now are continually performing the sacrifices on altars of gold. So Krishna indirectly told him that everyone knows about it. Now, although technically Satyabhama's son had a right to the jewel, Krishna decided to leave the jewel in care of Akrura, who was using the jewel's wealth to continually perform religious sacrifices. Indeed, Akrura's ability to perform such rituals on altars of gold was an indication of the jewel's potency. So, thus shamed by the Lord Krishna's conciliatory words, the son of Swapalk brought out the jewel from where he had concealed it in his clothing and gave it to the Lord. The brilliant gem shone like the sun. So now the end. This is the end conclusion of the pastime, and it is mentioned that how we can clearly see this in chapter. The valuable jewel caused so much intrigue, violence, and suffering. This is certainly a good lesson for those who desire a trouble-free spiritual life. And for the second time, doubts about the Lord's reputation occasioned by the Syamantaka jewel are dispelled by the jewel itself. Indeed, for the second time, the Lord brought the jewel to Dwarka to establish his integrity there. This amazing series of incidents demonstrates that even when Lord Krishna descends to this world, there is a tendency of his peers to criticize him. The whole material world is infected by this fault-finding propensity, and in this chapter, the Supreme Lord demonstrates the nature of this undesirable quality. So this narration, rich with descriptions of the prowess of Lord Krishna, removes sinful reactions and bestows auspiciousness. Anyone who recites, hears, or remembers it will drive away his own infamy and sins and attain peace. All right, so we are done with the pastime of the seventh jewel. Very interesting. So now, if devotees they have any comments or questions, and we can also discuss certain things.
Yeah. So in the beginning, as I was saying, what are some of the things that some of the lessons or learnings that we can extract from this pastime in our devotional
Yeah.
life?
Yeah, if you remember when we had come across the cursing of the Dwarkavasis to Satyajit, I had mentioned this point that, okay, let me come back to this. I would like to reflect on this. So see, one thing what I understand is Satyajit was definitely offensive to the Lord in the beginning, but then he repented for it, right? So then one may think that why the Lord still punished him, and it was a severe punishment. It was not such a like um, it was quite heavy punishment awarded to Satyajit, and the fact that he was his father-in-law. Now you will see that it's so difficult for a wife. Whenever there is a conflict between husband and father-in-law, the wife will be shattered completely because she has to take both sides of the husband as well as her father. She cannot stand that. It's a very, very difficult situation for her. So, in spite of all these things, Krishna somehow had arranged this pastimes, and Satyajit was killed. Okay, so he got a very heavy reaction for this offense. In fact, Satyabhama, when she went to Hastinapur, he also tried to request the Lord to bring him back to life. But Krishna replied to her that your father had a short lifespan, so I cannot do anything about it. So that was the answer of Krishna. Now you'll see there is a contrast between when the Guru of the Lord asked the Lord to retrieve his son. So Krishna went away, and then he also got the son of his Guru. Not just that, but he also brought back his brothers when he went to Dwarka, Mathura, when he released Devki and Vasudev. So after a long time in Dwarka, Devki was feeling sad about the killing of her sons, right? And then she requested Krishna to get them back somehow, because she knew that Krishna had retrieved the son of his Guru. So with the same expectation, she again asked Krishna to do the same thing, and Krishna got them back. But in the case of Satyajit, he straightforward replied that he had a short lifespan. Okay, so now one thing we can understand that it's not possible that Krishna can revive everyone. Okay, so that's one fact. Second thing is that what I feel is, my understanding is, although Krishna is compassionate, definitely very compassionate towards people who approach him, who surrender to him. And what to speak of, this particular pastime where Satyajit was the father-in-law. If you remember, even Lord Ramchandra makes this promise, and he takes this vow that whoever once utters my name in surrender, in the mood of surrender, I will give complete protection to that person, even though that person might be a demon or my enemy, right? So then what to speak of a father-in-law, and that too a father-in-law who was repentant about his activities. So what I felt is, I think this was the main reason why Satyajit had to undergo this reaction, or heavy reaction, was because the Dwarka Vasis, they were very upset with him. They cursed him. So when you curse, when devotees are angry, when you offend devotees, then you don't have any chance. Krishna can forgive you for your offense to him, but when you offend his devotees, then I think there is no solution for it. So I think this is my conviction, this is my feeling, because I was thinking about it. How is it possible that Lord did not forgive Satyajit? Okay, in spite of being his father-in-law. And another interesting pastime to this effect is another similar pastime is when Balramji, he had kind of saved Rukmi from Krishna killing him, right? When he had fought with Rukmi, and Rukmi was trying to push back Krishna from taking away Rukmini. So that time Krishna had a serious fight with him, and Krishna was about to kill him. But then Balramji intervened because he knew that Rukmini would be very painful to see that Krishna killing Rukmi. And then Balramji defended, and he actually asked Krishna not to kill him. So that's how he protected Rukmi. But then you see during the marriage of Anirudh, the same Lord Balram, when he was challenged by Rukmi for a gambling match, for a dice match, that time he could not tolerate his insult, and he immediately took off his club and he struck the head of Rukmi, and immediately he died. So you'll see that the Lord pastimes, sometimes they are bewildering, and certain pastimes they are also inconceivable. I mean, he is free to choose according to his desire, the way he wants to do his pastimes, and we cannot question that. But the acharyas, they are revealing the compassion of the Lord, and they are also revealing the reasons, the thinking of the Lord, why the Lord is doing certain things. So in this particular instance, what I feel is that the cursing of the devotees, I think because of that, he had to reap the fruits of his offenses. So that's how Krishna did not save Satyajit. And if you see from another angle, if Satyajit would have been saved, then obviously there would have been no reaction, there would have been no further pastimes, like Satadhanva killing Satyajit, and then Akrura and Kritvarma to be blamed for that, and then they getting entangled in this entire thing. Now they also had to reap the reaction of the offenses to the Braj Vasis, and especially the Braj Gopis. So that's how Akrura and Kritvarma got entangled in this, and they incited Satadhanva. Now Satadhanva was already a hater of Satyajit. So obviously, when you have a strong desire to kill someone, then the Lord within the heart will fulfill that desire also. So Satadhanva became an instrument for the killing of Satyajit, and so this entire pastime was manifested like this. It's a connectivity, it's a chain. So this is what I understand because of the curses of the Dwarkavasis. Any other comment or question?
No, I like that. I liked one point about when the Lord comes to this earth, his activities appear like ordinary human beings. So, so there are like there are people who are inimical to the Lord, considering him as an ordinary person, because like they see him as a hindrance to their pursuit for to their pursuit of fulfilling their materialistic desires. So that familiarity breeds contempt. Is that what you said, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was commenting?
Yeah. So this is in context with the residents of Dwarka, not with context, not in context with Jamvan. Jamvan saw the Lord as ordinary human being. But this particular familiarity breed contempt was in context with the Dwarka residents. They started thinking because they became too familiar. Now again, this is also the Lord's arrangement of Yog Maya. He wants to bewilder them for time being in order these pastimes to be to manifest it. So that's why the Lord arranged all these things. It's not possible that the Dwarkavasis can gossip about Krishna. It is just not possible. In fact, the entire Yadu dynasty was destroyed completely. You remember at the end at Prabhas because of the offense committed to Narad Muni. Right? So you'll see again and again the Lord is actually teaching by example that offenses to devotees are very dangerous. And the entire Yadu dynasty also got destroyed. But Vishwanath Thakur explains that it was a complete illusion. The Yadu, they are actually the pure devotees of the Lord, and they are of a higher superior category of devotees. Like we know that devotion to Krishna is the highest compared to Vishnu, Lord Ramchandra. And then Narada is a Vaikuntha devotee he's the devotee of Lord Narayan. So then how he does not have the potency to curse the Yadus. They are the associate of Krishna in Dwarka, eternal associates. So that's why again Vishwanath Thakur says that this was actually a dream. It was an illusion which was created by the Lord, so that some demons and atheists, they will stay away from, they will criticize the Lord because it was the beginning of Kali Yuga. So, so like that, all illusion created by the Lord. The entire pastime was manifested in this way. In fact, you will also be very surprised to know that there are even prostitutes in the city of Dwarka during Krishna's time, and you will be completely shocked to know that how they're prostitutes. But our acharyas explain that the prostitutes, they never indulged in illicit sex. They were just there in order to control certain class of people, because they had a tendency to have illicit sex outside their marriage. So in order to control them, in order to attract them, it was arranged like that. But actually they were not, they were, because they were pure devotees of the Lord, so they were not having those illicit relationships. So it was just a show. See, basically, when the Lord is coming down to this material world, he does everything which is there in the material world. He imitates exactly like a human being. Okay, so in the cities also we know that there are prostitutes. So in order to set a perfect example, a role model, now his own example or for the entire city, the Lord is actually displaying all these things to us, so that there is a particular law and order established in the system also. And I think I do remember Prabhupada also says in that purport that's why sometimes prostitutes are required, so that it will not create a precarious situation later, because these uncontrolled men, they can be controlled by the prostitutes. So this is not the example of Dwarka. It is basically, and it's I mean, the Dwarka prostitute did not do this. They were associates of the Lord, but it's just a role model for others to follow that in order to establish dharma. Yeah, and one very important lesson we can learn is, in Kali Yuga, you will be blamed frequently. So when the Lord is not spared, what to speak of you, me, and all of us? We are conditioned. We have so many faults. So we will be blamed. We will be actually, I mean, when we are blamed, there is some justification also. But even without justification, obviously we will be blamed for it. So when the Lord is blamed, then we also going to be blamed, because it is a symptom of Kali Yuga. So these are all lessons we can learn, that in Kali Yuga things will deteriorate. Like let's take a very relevant example of ISKCON. Okay, now we see that in ISKCON, amongst ISKCON devotees also, there is a lot of conflict, a lot of fights. Sometimes devotees, they get angry over each other, and devotees also keep distance from each other. Prabhupada said that the greatest threat to ISKCON is not from outside, but it will be from within ISKCON. Okay, because devotees' ego, it comes forth, and it creates factions, it creates divisions, and it can start deviating from the original goal of ISKCON. So there are many groups and organizations that are already deviated from ISKCON, and they are existing now, right? So this is the influence of Kali Yuga. This is what the Lord wants to demonstrate from this pastime, that the gossip, the rumors that were shared amongst the people, that will also be prevalent now in our society. And these are all part and parcel of living in the material world. So see, initially we feel that everything is pure about Krishna consciousness. All the devotees are pure. The environment is pure. ISKCON is pure. But no, Dwarka was also pure. But Dwarka also, there were troubles because of the influence of Kali Yuga. And so similarly, when we are expecting purity in Krishna consciousness, we are wrong. So we have to understand through the eyes of Guru Sadhu Shastra. So these are the challenges and obstacles created because of Kali Yuga. But the Lord has given us all these reasonings why these things are happening. So we have to face, and we have to cross all these challenges, and we have to associate with devotees who are an inspiration for us. This is what so we can also connect this with our ISKCON movement and the entire devotee community as such, whichever sampradaya we belong to, the four sampradayas. There will be problems, there will be challenges. We are not pure. there is a long way to go, and that's why we have to take these lessons from scriptures, the Lord's own personal example. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Mataji's, Nidhi Mataji, Swati Mataji, you have any comments or any questions?
Prabhuji, you were telling that Akrura and Kritavarma, they got entangled in this. So how did that happen? How did they be blamed for killing Shatrajit?
Yeah. So I think I did share that. I think it was Jiva Goswami who explained Akrura's reason. So already we have discussed that he offended the Vrajvasis. That's how he got the reaction. And another reason, so Vishwanath Thakur provides alternate explanation. He says that Akrura and Kritvarma, they got angry on Satyajit. That's why they incited Satyadharma to kill him. Now see, this is also another angle of vision. So one angle is that they had committed offenses, or for Kritvarma it was mentioned that he took the association of Kansa, right? He took association of Kans, and that's how, by associating with him, his consciousness got affected. So another lesson to be learned is that when you associate with people, you have to make sure that you have to affect their consciousness. You cannot get affected by their consciousness. Okay. So if you can give your association to them, then you associate with them for a longer period of time. Otherwise, make it very short, make it very brief. For the time being, whatever is required, you do it, and then you keep distance. If you get affected, you have to keep distance. If you can affect them, then you give your association with them. Okay. So Kritvarma got affected because of that. And I think, so see, when you associate with an envious person, there are certain, so there is a transfer of quality also from that person to us. And so it will affect our thinking, mentality. And then we start thinking about certain negative things. Okay. So that's how Kritvarma got affected. Now, another particular example is also of that of Dvivida the gorilla. Okay, so why did Balram kill gorilla Dvivid? Now it is explained by Vishwanath Thakur that he was actually associate of Lord Ramchandra and Lakshman in Treta Yuga. And what happened is Dvivida, he offended Lakshmana by minimizing his position, by thinking that he's an ordinary person and he does not have so much power. So he offended Lakshman. Because of that, what happened is, in the next Yuga, in Kali Yuga, he came, in Dwapar Yuga, he got the association of Narakasur and some other demons. And because of that association, ultimately, he went against Lakshman, finally. Okay, he had offended Lakshman, and then now he again went against Lakshman, which is Lord Balram in Krishna Lila. And he tried to insult Lord Balram. Okay, so then Balram killed him finally. Now, Vishwanath Thakur also explains that this Virudha was none other the eternal associate of Lakshman. So this entire pastime was like Jay and Vijay. For a particular purpose, the Lord wanted to show the effects of offending the Guru or offending Lord Balram. Okay, that's why he had sent Dvivida, and that's how he was actually ultimately was liberated by Lord Balram. But he was eternal associate like Jay and Vijay. But because of this offense to Lakshman, he had the association of Narakasur for the time being. Once again, I will just return back.
Can't hear you. But
We can't hear you. You may be on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so what I was saying is that yeah, so both explanations are valid about offenses, and at the same time the because of anger, because of they were not able to tolerate insult to Krishna. So that's how. So both are justified. Okay, both can happen. Both are possible, and that's how Kritvarma and Krura, they actually wanted Satyajit to be killed. So basically, already the Dwarkavasis, they had cursed him, and that anger actually came out. So both are possible. So is that okay, Mataji?
so Prabhuji, it was so the blame was on Shatrajit because Shatadharma, because he killed Shatrajit.
The main?
Actually, Akrura and Kritavarma, they insisted Shatrajit to be killed.
Yeah.
So was that right? Okay.
So was that?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. I mean, like, so two reasons: because of the offenses, Akrura and Kritvarma incited Satadhanva, and because of the association of Kansa with Kritvarma, he got affected by that. And another possibility is that because both of them, they were pure devotees, so they could not tolerate the insult to Krishna, so they incited Satadhanva to kill Satyajit, which is also okay from one angle. Devotees can react like that. There are devotees at multiple levels, and it is all possible that devotees want to take revenge. It's not because of their own insult, it is because they could not tolerate the insult of the Lord. So devotees cannot tolerate insult of the Lord and other devotees, and similarly the Lord cannot tolerate the insult of his devotees. So like that. Okay, Nidhi Mataji, anything?
I'm
No,
good.
Prabhuji. It was a wonderful class.
Yeah, a lot of insights by the acharyas. So God Lila and Krishna Lila is filled with all these examples, and now we have started this alternate series of lessons from God Lila and lessons from Krishna Lila. But I hope that things are clear. If you have any doubts why this happened, why it should not be like this, that, then we can clarify. We can also have reflections and some discussions about maybe devotees can also share how they feel, like whether it was justified or not, and which way it was justified. So like that. Yeah, Aritra Prabhu, you had some comment? Or okay, Nidhi Mataji?
Yeah, in this I found that even Lord is not spared. Like even he is blamed in Dwarka. This is a little bewildering.
Yeah. I mean, he's just setting an example because see, now the reason for this is also explained by Srila Vishwanath Thakur, and I gave example of the destruction of the Yadu dynasty, and one can wonder why Krishna allowed this evil thing to happen. So normally what happens is when the Lord is going back to his abode, then he will take all the residents and he will set a very good example. Like, people, like for example, during Lord Ramchandra's time, they all went back to Ayodhya in the spiritual world, and people saw it, they got encouraged, and they become all devotees of the Lord. But why did Krishna choose this in a completely opposite way? Why he showed the destruction of the Yadu dynasty? And the answer is given by Vishwanath Thakur. He says that because Krishna had he knew that people in Kali Yuga will be full of vices. And who is going to come in Kali Yuga? First of all, those who are offensive, those who are sinful, impious, all these people, they will come in Kali Yuga. And specifically those who will not believe in God, like atheistic people or similar kind of people. So in order to encourage them, in order to encourage their faith, Krishna demonstrated this entire, he did a drama so that people of this particular category of faith, they will be encouraged to do wrong things in Kali Yuga. So he he did not create a wonderful atmosphere of taking back all his residents to spiritual world, Goloka. But he actually demonstrated the entire pastime to bewilder the atheistic people and to kind of encourage their own faiths. If an atheistic person does not believe in God, then so such kind of people are a lot in Kali Yuga. So in order to do that, the Lord actually arranged this kind of thing. So similarly, we can also understand that because Krishna's pastimes are very close to Kali Yuga, they are so that's why the pastimes are filled with lessons for people who are staying in Kali Yuga. And so one of the primary lessons is to be learned is that Krishna is also blamed. The Lord, Supreme Lord is also blamed. So then we will always be blamed in this Kali Yuga because it is a place of misery and suffering. Kali Yuga, everything is opposite. So we sometimes feel that we commit a sinful activity, but then we are not punished for it. And person who is committing pious activity is punished for it sometimes, right? The opposite things are happening in this Kali Yuga. But then obviously these are all bewildering things arranged by the Lord in Kali Yuga, so that people, their faith is shallow in the Lord. It remains shallow. And then obviously after the end of Kali Yuga, then immediately Satya Yuga will start. But then again, because the Lord is compassionate, his mercy is there. That's why he again will send his avatars, so that even in Kali Yuga, people in Kali Yuga, they will have that, they can develop their faith. For the pious people, so it is mentioned that those who had, like, in Satya Yuga, everyone was like completely pious. They were all kind of devotees of the Lord, so 100%. Then dharma was reduced to 75% in Treta Yuga, in 50% in Dwapar Yuga, and then 25% in Kali Yuga. So at least for those 25% of the people population, Lord is sending his incarnation. And then what to speak of the incarnation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives his mercy not just to 25%, he gives his mercy to 100% of the population. He gives it to a limited people, like, he leaves all the Mayavadis, offenders to the Lord. But at the same time, in God Lila also we see that in spite of not bestowing his mercy on the Mayavadis, he was forced to bestow his mercy on Mayavadis. And ultimately, he had a conversation with Prakashananda Saraswati, and he delivered them. He delivered the entire race of Mayavadis in Varanasi because of the request of Tapan Mishra and Chandrasekhar Acharya. So they were very concerned, okay, and because of their request. So basically, you can say that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself and through his associates, through his devotees, because devotees are more merciful than the Lord. So through them, 100% population is targeted, okay, and they are going to get the mercy. So there's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Mahavadanya, that's why he's called Mahavadanya Avatar, extremely merciful incarnation. So that way. So I hope it makes sense.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, okay. Yes, Aritra Prabhu.
Oh, I'm just reflecting that the Lord is preparing. The Lord was preparing us. The way you are putting it seems like the Lord was preparing us, the living entities, for the time of Kali Yuga, covered with, which is characterized by hypocrisy, quarrel, backbiting, and always being disturbed and anxious. But then if we are to understand, we are also fortunate that the same Krishna comes back as Gauranga Mahaprabhu to take it forward from there, from where Krishna left.
Correct. Yeah.
So give us a okay. There are these problems. These problems will be there, but there is the blessing that there is going to be heavy discount for the unfortunate souls of Kali Yuga to make it back, make it out of here. For those who are really interested.
Yeah.
So and he cast. And the other thing which I feel is like so Krishna's Krishna. He was so okay. So that was Dwapar Yuga transitioning into Kali Yuga. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he cast also a very wide net, and he used his like what do you say, like his devotees, no, like the those devotees who were to come after him, like acharyas, like Srila Prabhupada, to spread that net far and far, like, cover more and more people. Because in Kali Yuga, it's so difficult for everyone. So he cast a wide net also. Unlike Krishna. Krishna was what he was doing. I mean, of course, like that was another age altogether. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just extends his mercy freely. So again, that prayer, Namo Mahabharata, giving freely the love of God.
Yeah.
So,
because he has the mood of a devotee, the highest devotee, Srimati Radharani, Radha Bhav. And see, that's why you'll see that Krishna appears at the end of Dwapar Yuga. He does not appear in the beginning, because in the beginning the situation is much better, and especially at the end means we can also relate, because as soon as the beginning of Kali happened, as soon as Krishna left this world. So we can see Krishna appeared at the end of Dwapar Yuga, just at the junction of Dwapar and Kali Yuga. So obviously there is it makes sense, the time period why Krishna particularly he came at the end of. And then another thing is that he also knew that he will not be. So obviously the Lord appears in 3 yuga: Satyug, Trita, and Dwapar Yuga. Does not appear in Kali Yuga, right? It's the injunction of the scripture that he does not appear in Kali Yuga. So for that, he appears at the end of Dwapar, and then he performs pastimes in such a way that at least people of Kali Yuga or the devotees of Kali Yuga will learn from it and will understand the science of devotion to the Lord. So that way. Yeah. Okay, so if there are no more questions or comments, then we can end it. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Hare Krishna to all.